picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
I am putting myself to the fullest possible use, which is all I think that any conscious entity can ever hope to do.
Well, hello and welcome. It is the first weekend in October. It is really nasty outside. It's cold, it's wet, it's raining. Off the coast we have Hurricane Joaquin spinning out into the Atlantic. Thankfully not going to be making landfall anywhere near here. Never want to see a fatality or an injury, but I thought if you have to go, it might be interesting to be one of the Joaquin dead. Thank you, folks. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress. Like I say, it's nasty outside, so I can't see unless it dries up or warms up or both. Doing a lot of big-scale painting. So this weekend now, probably be concentrating on wiring up bases and getting that kind of stuff buttoned up and away so that I can set the pod down on its new base and maybe do the spotlight wiring in the hopper. So that could be fun. There's 6 lights in the frame, and then 3 more up in the beast itself. Not to mention what's happening inside in the cabin, which I got some neat lights in the mail. They didn't just show up. I ordered them. That I think I'm going to be able to use with some fiber optics to do the Winky Blinkies and console lights. So we may be doing some lighting this weekend, more so than actual finished painting. I still want to get some. This is the. I'll show you where we are on the pod. I still want to get. Well, here's the pod. I can pick it up. It's looking very good. It's coming down to the finish line on it. I still want to get a unifying coat of primer on this, and then I can start touching it up. But the side snaps off and snaps on, just held on by magnets. And there's Davey. Trust me, he's in there. But I love the way that magnet works. Magnets is neat things. But I've got all the little touchy seams taken care of, so really what I need to do now is, like I said, put a unifying coat of primer on this and then start doing the top coats. We'll see what Mother Nature will allow us to accomplish on that for the weekend. Well, it does look like, after all, it's going to be a lighting weekend. Let me try to get myself into the camera and hunker down so I can see. Actually, I'm holding it up. That'd be better. I've ordered online from a place called Top LED Light. There's their business card. Because I ran out of my pre-wired LEDs, and yes, I'm lazy. I like to buy pre-wired LEDs. I'm not the best of solderer in the best of times, but I'm simply too much in a hurry to go through the painstaking method a lot of times of actually soldering up lights. So I looked at their website and I found a couple things that I wanted to get, and one of which was a bundle of 40 3mm whites, already resisted, good to go at 9 to 12 volt. And they had something else on that screen that I thought was interesting in AR, what they were calling blue-red flashers. And they had a special on them. There were 50 of them. And here they are. And why would you need a bunch of flashing LEDs? Well, what I want to do on the hopper particularly is to light up instrument panels. And if I can put an LED into a barrel and attach some fiber optics to it, then run those fiber optics out to different panels, then I get flashing instrument panels. And if you do more than one next to each other, they're never going to blink at exactly the same time. They'll always go in and out of sync with each other. So that makes for a more interesting unit rather than everything flashing at the same time. And to show you, I've got 2 of them here just on the table to show you what's going on with them. And they are red and blue flashers, but they cycle through all the other colors too. There's a red head, looks like there's a red head, a green head, and a yellow head in there, because they do cycle through and flash green at some points and orange at some points and purple at some points, and then they go through their little happy dance. But putting those next to each other will give quite a bit of life to the consoles that I want to use. And I also got a roll of the strip lighting, and this is the 3 lights per segment. Everyone's seen those, but they're not the raw ones, so to speak. They do have a rubber coating over them, which kind of helps break up and disperse the lighting a bit. And I'm going to use that for incidental lighting and for the base on the 2001 pod, because I want to light up that whole box. So that's where we are for this evening. I'm not going to get a lot done tonight. It's like I said, it's Friday. So I'll jump in on this first thing in the morning and try to lay out a wiring scheme. Okay, here's kind of the idea for the pod base. And since it's so wet and nasty out today, I think I'm going to be doing a lot of wiring instead of painting. The battery is starting to really drain on this, so this is not nearly as bright as it should be. And once I start pumping AC power into it instead of a battery, it should work a lot better. But it's gonna kind of sit on the base like this, which means I need to drill a hole into this white plexi to run these wires down into it. But basically, the wiring will kind of all exit this wall here. I need to cut into it to run my switches and my power outlet and that sort of stuff. So that's going to be today's job. And you can see the strip lighting that is running through there. I also think I'm going to use the black vinyl and maybe put a grid on this to kind of duplicate the idea of the sitting room at the end of the movie, where he's in the big hotel bedroom, fancy Victorian / Greco-Roman, whatever you want to call it, but it's the room he spends the remainder of his days in. If you want to take it to the theory that that was actually some sort of alien zoo or benevolent intelligence had put him up in a room that they thought was indicative of his lifestyle for his remaining days. But that's it's going to sit something like that on there, which is a good size base for a kit of this size. And the other victim this afternoon is going to be the sled for the hopper. I'm just going to run wiring for all of the 6 spotlights that are going to be on this base. There's a spotlight attachment, and I'm going to run the wiring kind of in there and wire them up somewhere in the center there so that I can run them all to one power and one switch. Okay, I'm back. I got distracted by a bunch of other things this afternoon, as is normal for me, but I'm back to working on the box for the 2001 pod, which is sitting right there. And what I've done is I've cut a hole in the side of this box that I'm going to put the switches through, and this is basically a plastic plate that I'm going to now glue in place and then cover over and then run all my switches through that plate, because the neck of the switches is too thick to run the actual, the wood is too thick to run the actual switches through. So that's why I got to do this nice little plate, and I will run all 4 switches and the power out of the same side. And somewhere around here I've got the white plastic plate that's going to go on top. I've drilled a hole in that so that I can run the wiring from that bad boy down through it. So let me set this in place, and then I'll kind of smooth it in and sand it off and paint it, and then we'll go from there. This kind of shows what it's going to look like on the base. Got the switches in the back there. I've got to light block some of that stuff off, but I've got the string of strip LEDs inside, and that's controlled by the first switch. And then the other 3 will be connected to the other 3 circuits. Okay, I'm going to do this without the appropriate also sprach, the Zarathustra, however you pronounce it. I can't say it very well. There was some question as to whether or not all of the lights would work at the same time because they battery drained so badly. But I've got a 9-volt transformer on it. That's a 1.5 amp transformer. Or 1500 milliamp, I guess is how it is phrased. And here are the, now, there's the first set of lights. Now, those still have the painting masks over them, so they look yellow because it's a yellow mask, and the howl light is lit up. And then there's the console lights, looking good, lighting up on Dave. And there are the red cabin lights. Now I'll turn off the outside lights. Everything is just very held together with ponytail wishes. So, but look at that. Look in there. And the console lights. I was afraid the console lights were going to get too much drowned out by the red lights, but they're not. Turn off the overhead red lights so you can see Dave in all his Daveness. Look at that. And that's the those are the front lights. Turn off everybody but that. And let's open up the side. Pop that open. I see that lights up under the dashboard, which I really don't want it to do. So I'm going to have to do something that maybe kind of blocks that. I don't know. There's the consoles. Now the camera's going to blow out the lighting a little more than it is. You know that. There's that bit of epoxy sculpt that I still need to touch up with the red. And there's the red overhead lights. And that back wall that's on that same circuit. Very successful. Now that I know everything works, I just have to make it look pretty and button everything up, because that's what it looks like now, and it's not pretty. Happy with that. Let's try this without the room lights on. See how that works. Oh, it's very dark, boys and girls. Very dark. Now see, you can see those spotlights a little bit better. And you can see Dave in there. Turn those off. That's strictly red lights. That's red, that's console lighting. Me likey. I almost want to take those masks off, but nah. That's just begging for trouble. And this is for the, this last switch that you don't see is for the floor lighting effect. And I've taken all the switches out and puttied up that nasty seam. I'm going to let this set up tonight, and then tomorrow I will sand it and paint it as much as I can, ducking outside between the raindrops to try to get some paint on it. Yeah, let's take a look at this mess for a while. I've been playing with the base all day, or on and off all day, and I wanted to come out and tend to some of this. This is just a mess. From putting the balls together, I realized that what I want to do is go ahead and put some of these central pieces in, because I can do all of that and then slide. I know how much of it I need to leave open, is what I'm saying. I need to leave, see, this is what happens. I need to leave that much open to get this in, but I can close up some of this, and I just feel like I need to glue some parts together. This has been bugging me. It's not, it's tasking me, and I'll have it. So let me put some parts together. Okay, here's a question. I'm going to try it out on one and see if I want to do it for the other 6. As the part is designed, as it exists in the world, it looks like this. This is the reflector insert for the spotlights, and it is designed to exactly fit a 3mm LED. All well and good. What I'm wondering, though, is what would happen if I cut off that little bit of neck there. It will force the bulb further out into the reflector, brightening it and giving me more room behind the bulb and the housing, the spotlight housing. So I'm going to try it on one of them and see if it works. Since there are 7 of these, there are 6 on the base, and then there's the 2 headlights, and then there's one odd one that kind of points up in the air. This will be the odd one. If it doesn't work, I can hide it up there, but if it does work, I may consider doing it on all of the rest. Okay, I can report that I have nothing to report. There's no real great quantifiable difference between the two as far as output, but I just like the look of that better, and I like the idea of the bulb sticking out into the reflector better. So that's what I'm going to do. It's just an one little step to cut that stem off, and I think it's going to allow me to stuff more of this up into the casing. Let's find out. Okay, here's the difference. The top one has the back of the reflector cut off, and the bottom one doesn't, and you can see how much further I can shove the bulb in and get that diode, or resistor, I'm sorry, closer to the case of the light than that one. So yeah, I'm going to go and chop off the backs of all of those inserts. Well, maybe not the ones for the main headlights, since they're not in this type of case. And here's the gist of it, kind of roughed into place. I'm going to put a decorative piece of tubing over that. I decided I don't like seeing that obvious resistor, so put a tube over that. But this is with the wiring very obviously coming out that I'm going to paint over. But there you have the headlight in effect. Now to do this 5 more times. There's a nice set of headlights. I put a little bit of the aluminum tube there to kind of dress up that back joint there. Yeah, I think that's going to work just fine. And then we'll try it with the lights out. Oh, sketty. Well, good afternoon, friends. It's Sunday afternoon, and it is still raining outside. We have escaped the brunt of it here in North Carolina, but our dear friends in South Carolina have really gotten socked, so it could be worse. So when it's humid or raining out, you can't paint. At least I can't, because of the primers that I need to use. So I went and did a little bit of shopping, picked up some stuff that I should have had, and things that are I can work on. There are some things I can work on, and on Sunday afternoon I'm to the point where I need to figure out what it is I can reasonably finish up today, and what I should put off. And I've got several things started, and I want to finish up something. So I did go do some shopping today. And one of the things I picked up was something I should have had a long time ago, but will make the painting easier, and that's just a good cheap Lazy Susan / turntable, Walmart special, all of $8. But it's going to make the painting on this thing a lot easier. And where we left this off last night was wiring up some of these lights. Now, what I'm going to do is take these off of the unit and glue up the back, that little metal piece, and then try to get a base coat of paint on those, because I can literally hang them out the back door, spray them, and bring them back in the house. So that's what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to clean this table off all the extraneous pieces. So let's get back to work on the work that I can get back to. And now we have a box that looks like a base that could be used for the one-man pod. Seeing a whole bunch of source lights here because the strip lighting is awfully close to the top. If I move that down the wall, if I move it down inside further, I probably could make that look less obvious, but I kind of like it. I'm going to live with it. I may do some, no, I guess I like it. I guess I like it the way it is. Here's the last bit of work on the base until I am ready to connect the pod to it. I just cut some squares out in vinyl, or cut a a grid out in vinyl and removed the squares from the inside of it, and give me the fancy floral look from the final scenes of the movie. And here's what it looks like when it's turned on. I think that does. I like the off-kilter look. Better than this, than trying to get it absolutely square, is to make it look like it's intentionally off-kilter. So that finishes this for the time being until I can add the pod to it. Okay, such is my mania to get something painted today that I set up my window exhaust fan, and I am trying to put some, sorry, here comes an ambulance or something, and looky out the window, there it goes, aren't we happy? Just to get something on here to finish out the weekend. It's not optimal, but I get to use my new Lazy Susan. And I get a little bit of a gloss on this Mama Jamma. And unfortunately, that looks like where we're going to end it this weekend. Didn't get nearly as much stuff done as I wanted to get done, which is always the way. This time I blame Mother Nature for the amount of rain that we got, and that meant I couldn't paint outside. I got a lot of the thinking work done, which is, for me, sometimes more of an achievement than the actual physical work. I got the thinking work done, so now that I've puzzled it all out in my head, it's a question of actually doing the thing. And that shouldn't take very long, but we will pick this up again. Now let's see, it's going to be problematical. We're coming up on State Fair season, and the reports are going to get short and maybe not so numerous. So I will be posting as I can through the next month or so, at least next couple of weeks. But until then, until the next time that I have more time to talk about the wonderful world of modeling with y'all, have a good day, have a good week, be nice to one another, and we'll see you right back here real soon. I'm sorry, I have to do one more. Rotate the pod, please, Hal. Rotate the pod, please, Hal. Thank you, Hal. Good night, everybody.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.